Greetings, Earthlings. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are doing so well today. We have a new video. I've never done this kind of concept before. We're going to take a look at one of your past lives. And if this is your first time here, a special hello to you. Hi. I'm Zac. I'm a clairvoyant psychic, and I share my gift to bring out the best in yours. As always, before you choose a pile, make sure you do make an effort to ground your energy, because when you ground your energy, it gives us the best chance to link up in time and space so that I can pull forward the most useful information. So maybe light a couple candles, turn the lights down low, take a couple deep breaths. That'll look a little different for everyone, but once your energy is grounded, choose between the piles intuitively, and I will meet you at your reading. Hey, Pile 1, this is Editing Zac here. You guys have a special reading. Do you know why? Because my camera stopped recording after 7 minutes, and yeah, I don't know why it does that sometimes, but it happened in your reading, none of the other piles, so I have all of the audio. I record that on a separate device. And so perhaps after the original or the initial 7 minutes, you can just treat it like a podcast. I took some B-roll that I'm just going to loop, and I selected, I think, the most prominent cards that came out in your reading. So it gives you guys something to connect with. But I really liked your reading. It's the first one I did. And so just be prepared for that. But also, I chose a crystal initially for the piles, for each pile. But I didn't really like what it looked like when I was filming the intro. And so I decided to go with skulls and pumpkins because, well, that's just so much more of the season. Anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that as well, because I start working with a garnet in order to connect with you, Pile 1. So I do hope you enjoy your reading. Just recognize it's going to slightly turn into a more of like a podcast over B-roll after that initial 7 minutes. But it was just such a synchronistic, precise reading that, of course, I had to keep it. So I do hope you enjoy. Hey, Pile 1, welcome to your past life reading. I hope you guys are doing so well today. I've never done one of these before, and more than that, you guys are Pile 1, so you're the very first that I'm doing for this. So very interested, very excited. This is going to be more or less just for entertainment, for fun. Okay, so the first thing I'm picking upon you guys is you chose the garnet, and I love this because I don't know if you know, but all the facets on garnets are naturally occurring. So I'm pretty sure this garnet though has been coated in resin. Okay. But just so you know, like a garnet, like in the wild, like I'm seeing this time I went to an island called White Island off the coast of Maine. We sailed out there. And so maybe you guys used to live on an island. That's coming through. This is not the first lens we're going to look at, but that's coming through. So yeah, I could almost see like an islander for some of you guys who used to make a living off the coast somewhere, perhaps like in a fishing village. Something along these lines is coming through, but multifaceted is what I was trying to say with this garnet, okay? All of these different sides to you. So you guys were very complex, or I'm hearing that you actually just had like so many different talents, so many different things that you were responsible for doing, actually, is what's coming through. Yeah. Honestly, in order just to make it, right? I'm not necessarily picking up on like a poverty vibe, but I'm picking up on like a past life of yours where, you know, it feels like someone who is a lighthouse keeper, right? So you would have to grow a little bit of your own food. You had your job, to make sure that the lighthouse was working so that, no one would crash upon the rocks. That's already two different facets to you. But I'm hearing that you would also, like mend your own clothing or make your own clothing. Something along these lines, right? And I'm also hearing that some of you would write books while you're on this lighthouse for however long that you were staying there, something along these lines. I get like a very coastal vibe. So I feel like some of you guys really did grow up by the water in the past life, and you're basically like how you made money had to do with living by or off the land. Yeah, that's a big message that's coming through. Kind of like farmers, fishermen, something along these lines. Curious, cool. So first lens that I want to look at is kind of your gender or identity. Now, let's not be weird about that, okay, you guys? Let's try to really move this dialogue. It's so stuck right now in 2022. Move beyond trying to like injure people for using gender in a different sense. I'm gay, okay? And so let's just let that conversation die there, okay? So let's pick up on your gender or identity. Sorry for sniffling, you guys. Lately, I don't know what it is, but I think it's the fall. It just makes me sniffly. So this is for pile 1. I want to get like an idea of youngness. Yeah, but look at this. Multifaceted, right? I'm looking at all of these kind of sharp natural angles between all these wands as multifaceted. I'm hearing witches too. The 5 right there, I'm hearing chaos magic. I'm hearing a lot for you guys. So I feel like you were a part of a family. And I think that you guys actually lived on a farm. And I'm hearing that you were a boy. You were a young boy. Now, try not to get your head, wrapped around that concept. Jeez Louise. Sorry, you guys. Have a little bit of an agenda, it feels like, in this reading. So if that offends you, good. I hope it does, honestly, because that'll start some healing in you. Anyways, God. Trying to move forward, trying to be myself, trying to really get people to move the dialogue, it seems like these days, as far as sexuality and gender, so that we can progress as people finally. So maybe you guys did the same, because I'm definitely picking up on an energy where it's like, I'm just done with it. Okay, in a really good mood today, too. So I'm picking up on youth, right? 1 of 5 boys is actually what I'm hearing. So something to do with a very large family. Now, I said multifaceted, and this 5 of Wands, I always talk about seeing a 5 fires burning within you, right? And it's so exhausting to run around fueling each one of those fires, right? And so I always try to get you guys to identify which one you want to burn first, right? So that you can have a bonfire. And that's kind of that energy that I was picking up with this garnet, where there's just so many different facets to life. It feels like it was really exhausting for you. So yeah, I feel like you guys were like a farmer in a past life, or a merchant is coming through. Something to do with a merchant, right? Maybe you had many mouths to feed, but I'm getting like a young boy, and if you were a girl, you were a tomboy, and kind of just because you had a lot of chores to do. So this is so fun. Something to do with lots of chores coming up, lots to do with, I feel like this time period is actually what I'm picking up on. It was a time where people had more responsibility over things that they do. Yeah. Like, like mending your shoes and bringing in the hay and feeding horses. And this is the past life I seem to be picking up on. Young boy. Okay. Identity. Do we want another card? Let's get a different deck. Okay. So this is like gender. Okay. Gender, sexuality, identity. How did they identify? Okay. This is for pile 1. Conjunction, empowerment, curious. It really looks like this card, does it not? Right? Strengthens, enhances, joins forces, activates, intensifies, allies with. Ooh, allies with. Okay, I'm hearing boy band, but because of the time period I'm picking up on, this feels more like you were in like a troupe of boys. Okay? I'm picking up on like now I'm seeing the TV show Rain and King. I don't remember his name, but he has his little group of boys, and yeah, I feel like you were a member of something. You could have been in like a circus for some of you, but this feels like a close knit group of people who would work together, but I'm hearing something so much more interesting. It's like work together in like an espionage way. Okay, so now I'm seeing Evelyn Salt. So were you a spy? Were you literally a spy in a past life? That makes perfect sense to me. You know, I used to play spies when I was younger, and honestly, based on my 10th house placement, I should be a spy. So you guys are very perceptive, very multi-talented. This is the past you, so you carry into this lifetime lots of different strengths. You guys are super interesting. You have lots of different sides to you, and I'm hearing that each one of them is actually very developed, kind of just like this perfectly polished garnet, right? So beautiful, so cool. And so you worked closely, but it was in a group of people. You were part of a group, and now I'm seeing kind of like the queen's ladies. And so whatever like the masculine equivalent is, that would be you. Okay. I also just think that you were a younger of a bunch of boys, right? I'm not picking up on you being like the eldest. And so you had a lot more freedom to do whatever you wanted, right? I'm seeing you kind of like doing all sorts of different things and just experimenting with your life and honestly having a grand old time because you didn't have to carry the responsibility of being the eldest. And so you had a lot of room to play. The Five of Wands talks to me about competition, but in a positive sense, right? So there's this element of playfulness. You guys have a real boisterous playfulness sense to your soul in this past life. Cool. Love to see this. Okay, do we want to move on from this? You know, let's grab like, I'm hearing like one more card. This has to do with gender, and identity. Having a lot of fun with you guys today. This is for pile 1, please. Principle. I'm just getting this concept, you know, because I see this bird right here in the middle with 2, 4, 6, 7 stars, and it's like, you didn't have to be the one that carried the crown because I'm picking up on the ribbons not being attached, right? So it's like you were a free bird. Oh, I love that. Yeah, definitely this concept of free bird going on. I also can pick up on that this gate doesn't have a door in it, or the door is removed, and so it felt like you were able to access the world. And shush, I just saw this one individual person down here in this corner, right? And it actually looks very similar to this red cloaked figure here at the center, right? And so I feel like you really got the opportunity to go out and experience the world. I'm picking up on saturates and overwhelms. And the Five of Wands, you know, all of those different aspects burning within you. You had so much desire to experience the world. Probably in a life before that, you could have been the eldest brother. And so you had so much responsibility upon your shoulders. And then in this incarnation that I seem to be picking up on now, however, you didn't have that. You had a little bit more freedom to experiment, you know, to go off into the world, to leave home is what's coming through. Yeah. Kind of someone who at times in your life you spent great periods alone. Yeah, because I'm seeing this figure go off alone with a pack on this back. It makes me think of either the hermit or the fool. And it's also reminding me that I picked up on that vibe of like a lighthouse keeper. Okay. So you would spend a lot of time on your own. Certainly away from, it feels like religion, away from anything that would have been imposed upon you. Yeah, really cool. So I want to look at, you know, my next lens that I have planned was like family or location. It kind of feels like we've already done that, but that's okay. Let's just like keep looking. I'm gonna reach for this deck again. Okay, so yeah, we definitely touched upon your family, big family. maybe we can get like location. For some reason, I still do want a tarot card, but I'm going to reach elsewhere as well. High Priestess. Ooh, in reverse. Something about the pillars kind of being open instead of imposing is actually the first thought that's coming through. But look at her right by the water, right? You guys definitely lived by the water. Let's see if I can create some magical synchronicity for you guys. You know, the High Priestess, she has all the answers within, okay? And so she doesn't really care so much about the truths of the Hierophant has, you know, the church or the way life should be. She doesn't give a shit about that. And that makes sense because you're going out into the world to figure out your own truths, okay? So can I have like a location for... Ooh, yeah, I love to see this. Milky Way with perspective, right? I'm seeing the spiral, so... actually, what I'm hearing is that this is weird. I wonder why you're on my channel, but I feel like one of you is actually human, right? It has a bit of human in you. Some genuine, one-of-a-kind human. Yeah, curious. But that was just a weird message. It was because I saw all the iterations of your past lives, you know, living life as like the eldest brother, the middle brother, the youngest brother. Kind of lots of interesting karma around that in order to learn about, I guess, different layers is coming through. But, you know, with the High Priestess and Milky Way perspective, definitely some star seeds in here too. A good mix, okay? I definitely pick up on a starseed vibe from this. But as far as like your location, it feels like very far out, right? I'm getting a drop in the ocean, creating all these ripples. Yeah, I honestly see you guys having lived... I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. Having lived on an island or somewhere remote such that it literally felt like an island. I'm getting like an Arctic Circle kind of vibe, something along these lines. I don't know. I don't think that you had a lot of responsibility or that you lived in close proximity to others, like in a city, okay? That's what I'm getting. Now I want to look at basically your critical situation, like the challenges and obstacles that you had in this past life. Okay, I want to look at that. And if there's any reversals, I'm not taking them today. I think I'm going to work with reversals in the future though. But I just I was doing a reading for a client before this, and I love to like shuffle the deck with like a genuine, like one of these things where you like go like this. I never do that because it makes them feel like cards instead of like the tarot. Okay, so I want to take a look at a challenging situation, like the most critical thing in your life, in this past life, okay? Death in reverse. And Temperance. Two major arcana cards, right? This Death in reverse, though, is making me think of rebirth. And it's drawing a lot of attention to this king here. The big thing in your past life was not idolizing anyone or anything, right? What I can see is the emphasis on the death card, talking about the need to kill your idols. You can't idolize anything because what you tell yourself subconsciously is you're not worthy of that. And the attention, you know, brought up to the horizon line, where the heaven's gates are wide open. You know how I made that comment about this door being wide open? And the High Priestess, something about the pillars not imposing you when the card was shown in reverse. And I'm picking up here, the sun is now set on the horizon where the mountains are in the distance and there's a life path right there. You guys were wanderers, travelers. You could be a wanderer. That would make sense. I attract a lot of wanderers to my channel. I am as well. And the sunlight illumination, your own illumination. You know how I had that snarky comment about how the High Priestess doesn't give an shit about the Hierophant? This Pope-like figure right here kind of looks like the Hierophant, you know, what's in the death card. So kind of like going off to figure out the world for yourself firsthand. Your big limitation actually was with leaving home. Because I actually think that you guys really did care to some degree about the hierarchy. About like, what is this? About like position and power. Those things you really cared a lot about. I'm hearing you spend multiple incarnations as like the eldest son, right? To kind of dissolve those concepts because it was something you became a little bit obsessed about. And it wasn't necessarily your fault. It was society at the time that kind of like really in your mind wanted you to be obsessed with fame or notoriety or status, right? And in this past life, your big challenge and your obstacle was leaving home and going abroad to find and make your own mark on the world. Right? Definitely. And it could have simply been a challenge because to leave home for you guys was literally like a fish out of water is what I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing like you guys, wherever you lived, it was so remote, you were like a drop in the ocean. And so to leave home, it's like once in a while would a boat ever come near you? Or would a hunting party ever approach you? And so I feel like one of these times there was someone in that hunting group or on that boat that really attracted you. It could have been love, but it could have just been like the friendship as well. And time again, you had to question whether or not you were going to make a leap of faith and leave with them. This could be you in this incarnation too, actually. And whether or not you were just going to stay behind. And I'm hearing that your biggest obstacle and challenge was leaving, right? Was leaving the comfort and security of home in order to start new again, right? Because you guys had so many different talents and abilities, because it was intrinsic to your survival, it was necessary. And to pursue just one of them felt very overwhelming to you. But your biggest lesson was to do what you could in that certain scenario, and if it was no longer prosperous, to move on. Right? It's very cool because this is 13, this is 14. Both of them major arcana, and both of them, this one came first, this one came second, so, a lot of, what is the word I'm looking for? Progression, a natural progression, right? But the death was in reverse. So it was something a little bit resisted. And I'm seeing, this angel here just has the toes in the water. And it felt like, the idea of adventure, that was like a big lesson. Adventure, leaving home, having faith in the universe to provide for you. Those were big, big lessons that you were experiencing. That was like your most critical situation in your past life. Now, I want to know like what your response to that was, okay? And who impacted your life? Nope. Who did your life impact as a result? Okay, so how do I want to look at this? I kind of want to keep going with tarot. I feel pretty good about these cards today. I want to know who did your life impact? Okay. Okay. Kind of the concept of church coming through here. All in reverse, the self, okay? Yeah, your iteration in your past lives had everything to do with self-growth. Everything to do with release, okay? I think, what I'm getting most from this is kind of like what it meant to be happy, right? And it feels like holding on to nothing. The lesson of having very little, right? This figure, I don't know if it's actually depicted, it's just what I'm perceiving. He's got like his knapsack on his back and he's going off into the world. And so it's like valuing yourself as the highest, right? And also, the bird and the ribbons and the crown here, it's literally the same fish crown right here as well, which is really cool. This is such a synchronistic reading, actually. It's so cool. Removing it though, right? Maybe you literally actually lived in the constraints. Some of you, this is a general reading, so that's why I'm picking up on like two timelines in this instance. Some of you were very remote. Others of you, not at all. Exact opposite. You were nobility, except you struggled without being the eldest child. And so freedom, though, from wearing the crown is what your lesson was about. This concept of being free yourself without needing to, harness power. knowing that happiness was going to come from inner satisfaction, right? And picking up on the Nine of Cups, upright talks about like emotional satisfaction, kind of though it's cups, kind of in like a material sense though. But in reverse, inner satisfaction. And we even have the moon here, which talks about the subconscious in reverse. So it feels like you guys were very wise, something to do with a lot of meditation, something to do with being remote, causing a lot of inner growth. I think that you guys were very curious people. Remember how I saw, interestingly, that figure with his knapsack on his back as both the Fool and the Hermit? And so it feels like you gained a lot of wisdom in this past life from simply going off into learning, experiencing the world firsthand. And, curiously, these cups right here look like teeth and a smile when this is in reverse, inner satisfaction. And then if it were to be upright, emotional satisfaction as a result of things you've achieved, kind of looks like a frown now. So the big lesson for you guys has everything to do with killing your idols and putting yourself on center stage, recognizing value, worth, recognizing that true happiness lies within. It's an inside job. You know how we talked about those gates? Look right here. There's those gates, the moon, the sun moon rising between them. This, is very funny because I felt that some of you were very wild, right? So lived in very remote places by the water, fishermen. Here's our crayfish, our lobster right there. Others of you, this tame, civilized dog with a yearning to expand yourself, trapped because that you were a royal and lived in families where your name mattered and you couldn't go out in some incarnations, but with the yearning to travel, the yearning to go through the gate with the door open. It was a huge something karmic is very, very strong in this reading. So cool. Look at this. Shut up. We have the moon and the sun, and we have a sun moon right here. That's very interesting. Very synchronistic message. We also have this church-like scene right here. Pax is peace. It's written in the stained glass above here. Interestingly, it's reversed, so my attention is brought to it, and I'm kind of picking up on that yellow halo, the nimbus, very similar to this yellow halo going on right here. Inner satisfaction, though, right? Because we have a grin now. We got a big old smile. Inner peace is very important to you. That was a huge lesson that you learned in a past incarnation. So you probably are star seeds. That Milky Way perspective card, so cool. Of all the cards to come out, definitely talking to someone more evolved here in pile 1. Everyone who chose the garnet. Okay. And let's see, where else do I want to go? Honestly, this feels like towards the end of your reading. If you don't want to know how you died, then you can click out, but I want to. I want to know how you died. Yeah, so that's cool. Let's get a couple different cards, though. This is for pile 1. And guys, let this be entertainment. Ooh, look at that. The wolf. We just had all of that synchronicity about instinct, about going out on your own, and you now literally have the wolf. Look at this. So cool. Okay, so actually what got the best of you was a wild animal. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys have like irrational fears of getting eaten by a grizzly or irrational fears of being outside in the dark. You were preyed upon in a past life. This is how you died. That's such a synchronistic message. That's so beautiful and ironic because you going out to experience the world was beautiful for your soul, but it's actually what killed you because I'm hearing you were ill-prepared, right? I'm seeing you fall through the ice. I'm seeing you fall victim to the weather, fall victim to a wolf, okay? Something to do with that burning and passion and fuel. Yeah, so this incarnation I'm picking up on was one of your earliest. And so it didn't matter, kind of. You were really just there to gain a lot of experience as a soul. And unfortunately, you perished while you were going out, following your instincts, following your calling. What a creepily synchronistic reading. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope that you guys did too. If you did, or if you've made it this far into the video, please give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. It really supports my channel. It helps it grow more than you know. And I just want to thank you again so much for being here, spending your time with me, and, going through this little mini experiment. I liked this, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day, night, month of October, wherever you are in the world. And until next time, stay divine. Hey, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. Welcome to your past life reading. I hope you guys are doing so well today. It has been a minute since I've recorded this late in the day, so I'm excited to see if there's any change energetically. So we're going to take a look at a past life of yours, just one, and we're going to look at it through multiple different lenses. The first one I want to look at is gender or identity, just kind of like how you identify. And I really hope that everyone on this channel is a little bit evolved beyond getting triggered by male or female. Okay, you guys, that's something I feel very passionate about as an Aquarius, to try to move the conversation beyond the present time where we seem to be so absorbed in this cycle about gender and identity. So just a little bit of a heads up, I guess, if I use male or female. I'm not going to say anything else about that. Okay, so this is for Pile 2, and I want to know, let's just get a little bit of information. Okay, curious. So I'm picking up on this older figure in this Ten of Pentacles, okay? But yeah, it's similar to the Ten of Cups because there's this concept of family. So what I just heard is that you guys really had to be the breadwinner in a past life. And there were periods where there was not a lot on the table, but towards the end of your life, there was everything that you desired. This kind of feels a little bit like a life path 1. And so if you are not a life path 1, that could be confirmation for you guys that you chose the right pile, but you definitely had, at least towards the end of your life, lineage, a family line, but also a legacy. So that's really cool. I want to figure out kind of what you guys were good at. This past life that I seem to be picking up on for Pile 2, maybe it's your most recent one, but for some reason, energetically, it is a significant one. I'm picking up when you guys were older, okay? So I see concepts around a farm. You lived in civilization. Pile 1, as an example of contrast, they lived in a very remote place. I don't know where they were, on an island or just somewhere up north of the Arctic Circle, something along those lines. You guys were actually living in the city. Okay, definitely in the city. Very talented about something for sure, finances for sure, and had a strong family. At least one of your children also produced children in your lifetime. So lots of legacy coming through. Very curious. So I really want to know a lot more about you guys before we look at anything else. Is there anything else? Let's go into this deck. I want to know a little bit more. This is for Pile 2, please. Kind of picking up on the concept of a strong matriarch. Matriarch. Okay, matriarch. Okay. I'm going to take these 3 because there's 3. compared to the other one. Yeah, fulfillment. This is you later in life. I wasn't necessarily getting any maternal. I was definitely getting paternal. So a strong male figure in a past life. I'm not hearing anything about nobility. This is kind of like from rag to riches, though. So I definitely see you getting to the status of a lord. Yeah, look at this cornucopia here with appreciation, the moon in Leo. And then Saturn in Sagittarius, all of these riches, yeah. And it looks to me like Ulysses, right? From the Odyssey. Here's this big boat talking to me about an epic. And later in life, this figure definitely looks well-to-do. He's got this big old bag of money. I kind of see him landing in this land and just sort of figuring out what he wants to grow. I'm seeing this appreciation kind of as your counterpart, whether this was a wife or just a mistress of yours. I'm seeing that she sung, okay, had a beautiful voice, and she definitely looks full figure. So with the cornucopia, to me, talks about legacy, kind of in a procreation sort of sense, right? So you definitely were someone who had kids in a past life, a happy, harmonious marriage. And your life, though, was not without struggles. I'm picking up on this concept of versatility. That has been something I just heard is carrying into this present day life. Your versatility, being able to be flexible with this Gemini placement here, it's very favorable. Love a Gemini sign, you guys. So you had the ability to sense what you were good at and evolve, right? You've always been able to occupy a certain niche and occupy it very well. I'm hearing that some of you actually expressed a little bit of a natural talent or an affinity for one of your first kind of like masters or one of your first teachers, and they sort of took you under their wing and showed you the ropes, such that at the end of your life and their life, you had sort of leapfrogged them. There's this concept of surpassing them, kind of, going above and beyond their status so that all of your offspring could start where you ended up in life. I like to see this. Very interesting. Okay. So I kind of want to take a look at what was the biggest challenge or obstacle in your life. Let's keep out this card though. Okay, so this is for pile 2, kind of like the biggest, most critical situation. And then we're going to take a look at who your life impacted. Okay, there's another concept of 3 coming through. Cool. It's 2 6s, harmony, another 10 for you guys. Concepts about cycles. Yeah, this appears to be you when you were much younger. A lot of burden. Definitely a tradesman, okay? A concept coming through that has to do with working very hard. But 6 of Wands here, you guys, victory, okay? And then the 6 of Swords, this concept again of the boat and leaving somewhere. Okay, you guys, that's so cool to see that highlighted again. And I'm picking up on you much older here, and then the wife figure that I picked up, and then a child, right? So I'm picking up on this concept where you started in one land and you moved to foreign lands. So travel was significant to you. You left somewhere. You existed someplace, and for whatever reason, it could have been just finding work, or actually what I think it is that your sheer willpower gave you the motivation and put you in the right crowd to be able to raise in status and rank. This is for pile 2, and that as a result gave you an opportunity to move abroad. Yeah, definitely, I'm getting the concept, you guys, of leaving your country of origin. Especially because I always see this as an odyssey here. Okay. Kind of, let's just clarify these. Discrimination. Okay. Can I get one for the 6 of Wands? Detachment. Look again, a concept. Detachment, right? And I know this is not necessarily indicative of Mercury with the sun of Aquarius, but this concept of leaving, right? Unattached to where you were and moving abroad. Okay, and I think you were guided there, divinely guided. I look at the 10 of Wands and the 6 of Wands, sometimes through a spiritual pursuit. 11 is a very spiritual number. It's a master number. So now I'm hearing that literally you mastered your trade. We'll take a look at what that might be. And this is your wife. This is that figure. This is your partner again. She helped you. Right? She helps you. I'm hearing that you met her early on in life. She looks to be, again, that figure who can very much bear children, very healthy, very nurturing quality to her. This concept of land, too, and crops is coming through. And you were a merchant, is what I just heard. You were, oh, I got a ding outside from that stupid, annoying truck. You were a merchant. And traveling the world is what exposed you. That's what you were meant to do. That was big karma. That's all coming through now. For pile 2, something about awakening and expansion, right? I'm hearing that you kind of started and a little bit poor, for sure. Definitely didn't have a lot of status. Did a job in order to, just satisfy getting anything on the table is what's coming through. I feel like your father at that time was not very successful. Times were very difficult. This is a time a couple hundred years ago that I seem to be picking up on, and maybe even more. And it pushed you, though. You carried the brunt of the workload, sorry. Another message coming through is I feel like you had a weak mother. I know this is oddly specific, but I feel like the mother passed early in your line, and it caused you to shoulder a lot of the burden. And that's coming through. This concept of grapes here and the land here and the sunflower in the hand. Sunflower, prosperity. Grapes, abundance, prosperity, plenty. And I feel like you planted crops, certain spices. For some reason, saffron is coming through. And, the stamen of crocus, saffron, that very valuable, we're going to call it a spice, for lack of a better term. Herb? Spice? Whatever. Anyways, a merchant. And I think that leaving home was that was the karma too. Not only expansion and a sense to open up your world, so going from one country to the next, but also the mind, so exposing yourself to different cultures and religions. But also it required you to dig very deep because you left something behind. You left the past behind, and you felt very guilty about that. But you were able to conquer the mind and leave as a result. So cool. Very synchronistic. Let's get one more for pile 3. Assertion. Ooh, I like to see this. The concept of the dragon, I'm picking that up as the mind. This is you, very strong, full beard right here. He's bearded right there as well. And the dragon, red, passion. You got that sword in your hand. I love to see it. I told you about being a life path 1, and it feels like you leaving home, embarking, going on your own, making your own mark on the world, starting from nothing. That's very indicative of a life path 1. And this is you asserting yourself over everything, over all the battles, I feel like, but it also feels like your past, right? There's definitely something in your childhood, pile 2, in a past life that was going to hold you back, and this was a spiritual test. It had held you back in a prior lifetime, but pile 2, in this lifetime that I seem to be picking up on when you were a merchant, I'm feeling like you really did get a grasp on your mind, and luckily it had everything to do with you expanding yourself. I think you had a teacher early on who took an interest in you and showed you the ropes, like I was saying, but also I feel like the struggles from your childhood where you didn't really have a loving support system, that really drove you to create one for yourself. But I'm also picking up on that struggle was what caused you to move forward because you kind of were operating from nothing. I'm seeing you were like rubbing 2 pennies together, and it's not going to feed a family, and it's not going to help you see the world. And then you were able to leave that as a result. So yeah, now I'm seeing an arrow, and it's like an arrow can only achieve its mark after it's been pulled back and put through tension. That's the only way an arrow can be let loose and fly to hit its mark. So cool. So yeah, this seems to be the biggest challenge, the obstacle was leaving home, expansion, starting from nothing in order to create your empire. So the Ten of Pentacles is the lower arcana version of the Emperor. And so I feel like you had significant status. I wouldn't say it was above a lord, but you started from a pauper and you got to a lord. And in one lifetime, that's magnificent growth. Yeah, you're blessed with the Six of Wands at the center of your reading. And I love to see that so much. So I want to know who your life impacted. I kind of want to keep you out as well. So let's take a look at that. I had a whole bunch of different lenses, and when I'm reading, they kind of just all sort of come out together. Oh, this concept of union is coming through again, you guys. Oh, this is you younger. Oh, okay. I think you had the biggest influence you had is on your children. The biggest influence you had was the children you made, because their lifetime did not start like yours. I'm hearing that you laid the foundation in your lifetime, but actually really dissolved a lot of karma that your parents at the time were lost in or stuck in, and their parents were stuck in. You were the first to sprout out from the ground and to spread your wings and to expand into different foreign lands. That was a massive job by your soul. There's an evolution to your soul as well. You really know how to grasp the masculine attributes and the feminine attributes to your existence and to bring them into a harmonious balance such that they can fuel each other. The children, were significant. The children you had in your relationship, I think you had a very significant child. One of your children grew up to be very successful, like leapfrogged even you. So going from, your status was pauper to lord, I'm hearing that they could have, I just heard duke. They could have literally risen to the status of a duke. That's really cool. But this concept of love is coming through as well. I think, your soul is very strong, pile 2. Not only were you able to leave home, but you were able to not be jaded by the relationship that your parents had at that time. You were able to find love in this lifetime. That's so amazing. That's remarkable. Wow. Okay. Let's kind of, look at just one more life lesson. And then we'll take a look at the influence on your present life. Okay, so this is for pile 2. The Magician. I knew it. You guys are so cool. Okay, the power of I. You're very resourceful, using all the tools at your disposal. Here's that garden, too. Wow. So one of your most significant life lessons is putting yourself first. I knew you guys were a life path 1. This is you recognizing that you're the only person who can change your lot in life. Yeah, started from rags, went all the way to riches, very comfortable, left behind a legacy as well, taught your children your trade as well. Yeah, let's hopefully, I don't forget what that was. And maybe I can cut this lens a little short. I love to see this. You guys recognized the power of masculine, feminine, and self-awareness. Put those into a fallacious bond, and we're able to manifest a lot in your lifetime. That's amazing. Love with the roses down here. Intelligence with the, what are those called? Not irises. Lilies. There we go. I just heard lovely Lily from Harry Potter. Could have been a wife's name. That would be a grand stretch, and certainly just for one of you. But to me, just talks about a soulmate, right? We have the emphasis of star-crossed lovers who are soulmates, the intertwining snakes, and then the ellipsis over here, but also the intertwined snake belt. Wow. So you were able to manifest emotional abundance as well as intellectual abundance with your craft, spiritual abundance by your entire lifetime, going from rag to riches, and material abundance with what you were able to produce. That's amazing. So let's look at this. I want to know what you guys did. So let's use this deck. I want to know what you guys did, because it could be really something that you should use in this lifetime. Okay, so this is for pile 2. What was this incredible talent of theirs? Ninth house seeking. Thank you, Spirit. Yes, we know all of this. Look at that, you guys. Foreign travel, faith, beliefs, pilgrimages, spiritual quests, risk taking. That's so funny. Higher education, aspirations. That's hilarious. Okay, so you could be a guide, right? A merchant. That's just what keeps coming through, you guys. I see you also being a guide, though. I see you being able to take people through foreign lands because you know certain, either it's shortcuts or just safe travel, right? Because you had the Six of Swords, which is going from turbulent waters to smooth sailing. I think you helped people make safe passages, because here's the smooth sailing too. Definitely bringing people from the turbulent waters to clean waters. So you could have been a guru as well. That's coming through later in life. Yeah, absolutely. Because you have a lot of wisdom to spread and to teach. It's not necessarily the talent, your merchant ability, but it's like going from 0 to 100 in a single lifetime makes you a guru. That's amazing. So a spiritual life, but not necessarily, and I feel like a spiritual sense that we interpret today, like psychic ability or a shaman, those kind of concepts, more so like the self-belief, right? From within, faith, foreign travel. Your reading is so on point, so cool. Okay, so what else do I want to do? I want to know, I know, it's a little morbid, you guys. If you want to click out here, I feel like this is the last lens we're going to do because this seems very synchronistic. I want to know how you die. Okay, I think it's old age. But let's take a look. And you know what? I just heard we're gonna do this lens, and then we're also gonna pull some tiny messages just to get some last little clarifiers about this lifetime. Okay, so if you don't want to hear how you died, just skip ahead. Yeah, so here we go. This is for pile 2, please. How did pile 2 die? Autumn release. Oh, I love that. Long life. Yeah, I'm literally hearing you. Oh, that's amazing. You took a walk to the back of your property on a cold night, when it got just below freezing. It was very quiet, very peaceful. You lay down on the earth and passed very, very quietly. That's so beautiful. Very spiritual in nature too, so that would make sense. I love to see all these rich colors here and the light just breaking through and coming down. That's gorgeous. So not really, that's cool. Pile 1 was a crazy death. Yours seemed very peaceful, very quiet. Very natural as well. So let's wrap up this past life with some tiny messages. I don't really know what these are going to be about. What are these about? You know what? Let's let this be the influence on your present life. Okay, so for pile... Oh, okay. Infinity. Oh my god. Infinite. Wow. Color. Just talked about all those colors. Crush. Wow. So synchronistic. So interesting as well. That's so bizarre. So the talents, that carry into this life, your influences from this lifetime into your present now lifetime has to do with love. You believe in true love. And soulmates as well, at least multiple soulmates, right? You believe in finding someone for the sake of love, not for the sake of ease. That's karma you broke on a past life. And so that's not something you suffer anymore. You're definitely finding relationships in this lifetime that are filled with love and romance and passion and support. There's a strong support system between you and your spouse in this lifetime, this concept of support. Infinite. You are master manifestors, pile 2. And it's from this lifetime that you learned that you are the one person responsible for your destiny. And using discrimination, like we saw, and resourcefulness, you were able to make your own heaven on earth. That's amazing. And then color. There's something about color and nature that's very alchemic to you, very spiritual in nature. So I would not be surprised if you guys either have a really good sense of fashion and color balance as well. If you guys are artists or painters or use color or understand color theory, something along these lines, but also a life filled with color. All the nuances, you understand that the negative is just as valuable as the positive, as a struggle is just as important as abundance, because life is between all of those nuances. That's where life happens. Such a cool reading. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. This was one of your past lives. If you liked this video, or if you've made it this far into the video, please give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. It helps my channel grow more than you know, and it helps other people find these messages too. And Pile 2, I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world. And until next time, stay divine. Hey, Pile 3, welcome to your reading. I hope you guys are doing so well today. This is your past life reading. Now, we're going to take a look at a whole bunch of different lenses. The first one is gender/identity. Now, I don't want to trigger anyone. Okay, so I'm most likely just going to use male or female, okay, depending on what I see. And I was telling a little bit to Pile 1 and 2 that just, try not to hold on to the concept of male or female. For the ease of being able to perform this reading, I am not going to run through all the pronouns. I want us as humanity, this is coming from an Aquarius, as humanity to move beyond this concept, which I think is honestly a self-evident truth at this time, that identity, sexuality, gender is blurred and nuanced. Okay, so understand that that's where I'm coming from as a gay person myself. So, now that I got the soapbox out of the way, I feel very passionate about that these days. Let's figure out this recent past life of yours, or just simply the one that I seem to be able to pick up on for your reading. Let's get a card. The Ace of Cups to describe your gender or identity. Well, fluid, honestly. After all of that, fluid is coming through, but what else? Honestly, someone I heard Cupid, loving, okay, beautiful hands, something to do with your hands as well, very curious. Let's see if I can't pick up on a being. That is so funny. Not only to have two aces come out in a reading, that's very blessed, but again, what do we have here? Gray and clouds. So I get something very, very nebulous. So your identity, very different than either Pile 1 or 2, in this past life was very fluid. It's not something that you pin down. These are really important factors about you is actually what's coming through. Something to do with your quality of emotion and the ability to capture emotion. I heard like a singer, and then passion itself. So what's coming through is a past life as an opera singer or a past life as a prostitute. Okay? Those energies are coming through. Now, you could have also been the madam, owned the business. We'll have to see when that comes through, but this is very cool. I think that you had a struggle with your identity and how you identified based on this time period, okay? I'm just picking up on something that was quite a long time ago. Where there are still kings and queens and people lived in castles. And I think that this actually made you a little bit stand out, okay? And it definitely was the energy of a starseed coming into Earth or something equivalent to that, coming into a time period where you were supposed to be your authentic self and to be kind of like a beacon of hope and light for other people in your community who were like this. as well. I think when I see these two aces, I'm hearing touched by God, okay, and also touched by angels. So I also feel, based on this bird here, in close communication with angels as well. And so what I feel like is that you were someone who was very spiritually gifted or spiritually evolved. And some of you were actually witches. I think that some of you were some of the first witches. And I love this, you guys. There's this concept of no face present, no gender present. That to me talks about exactly what I was getting after in my soapbox moment, which is an evolved understanding of the nature of our souls. I think you were someone very, very passionate, someone impassioned as well. A good sense of adventure. I just heard gypsy. I think that some of you could have been gypsies. And I think that the vast majority of you who chose pile 3 are wanderers. I love this. I would identify, I think, closest to this pile so far. We're just at the very beginning, but that's what it feels like. So yeah, this concept of being like touched by God or touched by angels. These hands emerging from the clouds are supposed to be spirits. And I'm seeing that you were gifted with your voice, okay? And also emotion. So I think that you guys were empaths, and that's kind of like a given, something very obvious. But your passion and willpower and drive, you were very determined, and you had a very strong will. And I love that for you, but I'm hearing that that's not something that was easy for you at the time. It's not even easy in the present day. To be, it feels like LGBTQI+, if I have to be honest, or just someone who wasn't necessarily concerned about any label or expression of themselves, felt a strong pull towards both masculine and feminine aspects. And I think that you showed remarkable strength of character in your life is also what's coming through. You came with gifts to share. The fact that I pulled out literally 2 aces, it's the first reading where no human is present, and we seem to just want to talk about the quality of your soul. And to me, that talks about someone who is evolved, okay? So I want to get a little bit more information about your family and possibly location. Okay, so for pile 3, please, can I get something about family or location? I knew this card was coming out. That is so funny. So this Justice character, you guys, the number 11, very spiritual, so funny because this person is androgynous. Throughout my understanding of the tarot and a lot of research, this figure is actually said to be a woman, though, upon glance, seeing this person in this position of power, you would assume this to be a male figure. However, if I were to interpret it, it does look a bit androgynous, kind of similar to the World or the Star figure. Or even the Angel of Temperance, right? And the Angel of Temperance is coming through as well because angel, but also balance. So I think you guys in this life could have present day Libra placements. But what I love to see again is this concept coming through where I asked very specifically about family and location, and what we get is something very much not descriptive of that. So it feels, I just heard orphan. I'm hearing orphan. But this is, and now I'm seeing Anne of Green Gables. So you have the most incredible strong will, okay? You are a kindred spirit. You came in a volatile time in history to help evolution and to bring balance to humanity. Such a cool reading, you guys. Life between these pillars with a violet curtain behind you. So of course you guys are deeply spiritually gifted. Certainly evolved as well. And we have that 11 up there. Covered in red, right? So willpower and passion. You guys were very impassioned people. You were here to help society, move and grow past their limitations to bring truth and righteousness. I'm getting more the energy of just being, honestly, like an oddball character, especially towards the beginning of your life. And that's probably the struggle that I pick up on, with the lotus flowers down there. And to me, it talks about the orphan again. I'm hearing that either your parents couldn't support you financially, and others of you, your parents died early. And so you kind of were just thrust really into the system and in the world and had to take on many different forms. But that, that mission right there already talks about someone more highly evolved, right? So I feel as though less evolved souls with less experience have much easier life situations, okay? Born into wealth, for example. Of course, they're going to have their own trials and tribulations, but someone born into wealth is going to lead a very different life and quality of life compared to someone starting from an orphanage and moving out into the world. And that latter is who I assume to be you guys. And it is because you possess the strength of your character. You're very righteous. You're very just. You just know things, right? Not necessarily claircognizance, right? More so an evolved understanding that you were able to carry with you, though you passed through the veil. We all have to pass through the veil of forgetting. You were able to remember who you are because it is your strength of will. Right? I think these gifts right here are not gifts that you can be separated from in any incarnation, pile 3. These gifts right here are gifts that you brought through into this lifestyle or this present life as well. We'll take a look at how this life affects your present life in a little bit. Let me just finish with this concept of family and location. So I see either some of you becoming monks, working in monasteries, nuns, something along these lines, okay? And I'm hearing a little bit more of an epic tale for some of you as well, where you went on to be teachers, right? Some of you did find yourself in families, right? That's why I was seeing Anna Green Gables, who supported you, who understood that you were not like other people, but you were the taste of freedom is what's coming through. You were the taste. It's like a motivation. You were something very strange, out of place, yet you embodied the future, everything about you. And so I think actually in this past life, you were a female. You definitely were female in this past life, except you were a tomboy, or you possessed a very good balance between masculine and feminine attributes and qualities. And I'm just like seeing, like you were one of the first women to wear trousers instead of a dress or push concepts. Such a cool reading, you guys. I know exactly what this energy feels like. You're here to move along times, to serve as a catalyst within your community. You were a gift to your community in order to bring about evolution. That is such a remarkable, cool soul. I love you guys. Okay, so it feels like I've already taken a look at, challenges or obstacles, but let's just, maybe bring that out a little bit. I kind of want to look at, what is the most critical situation from this lifetime? A balance, a catalyst through tumultuous times. Oh, and I just had a hummingbird come up to the window. So your spiritual team is definitely here in full force. Hummingbirds represent joy. Yeah, I'm hearing that you are literally honey for society, for the community. I think one of your biggest struggles, your biggest challenges or obstacles was balancing these opposing forces within you. The concept of being in a physical body was very challenging to you. Your health was also challenging to you because you're very high strung. You had a lot of mental and emotional energy that was opposing. Okay, you wanted to desperately listen to your heart, but the mind, based on the times, was skewed, pulled out of proportion. You see this big red head right here, a hot head. And again, you covered and adorned with red, passion and libido. And I think that you, based on the times, were just simply not a very good match. Exactly what we needed on Earth, what humanity needed at that time, but it was very difficult for you because the zeitgeist, the essence of the time was almost anti your essence. And that catalyst proved to be very, very tumultuous. Very, very much your struggle was listening to your heart versus your head. But yeah, this Queen of Pentacles underneath the deck, and Three of Cups want to make an announcement too. I do feel like the end of your life, you were able to settle down with like-minded souls, other kindred spirits, right? You definitely, towards the end of your life, were able to establish yourself. And I love to see you again cloaked in red here, and then cloaked in red here. I'm picking up on as you as this figure here. And so your struggle between your willpower and the quality to your soul placed in the environment that you were placed in feels like that big mountain, that big struggle you had, but it honestly, I just saw coal turn into a diamond. That's what you needed. You needed a little bit of the struggle, the lotus flowers message coming through again, and the high and low seas in order to make it, right? So if you look out into the ocean here, you see a large ship and a small ship. And this small ship, I'm hearing, doesn't have a lot of ballast on it, doesn't have a lot of weight, and you can see it entering kind of the trough right here, the valley of this wave, which is kind of like not a good thing. But this large ship, is cresting the top of the wave, has a lot of ballast on board, ballast meaning struggle from the past, in order to make this voyage. So this ship is very much going to make it. It's in full sail, lots of color on this ship, and that's kind of like you. Starting from, and I do love to see that you're being represented again by this more female figure here, okay? But this Queen of Pentacles, interestingly, is a very good balance between masculine and feminine because she is able to utilize the energy of the Pentacles, career and finances, much more of a masculine concept, but also the body and the home and the family, a very feminine aspect. So your quality, the balance, the duality of your soul is coming through as well. Such a synchronistic reading. All of these have been. So cool. But back to this message right here. It was that struggle between your will and the society and the struggle that you went through early on in life. That is what gave you the necessary ballast to get through life. This gigantic ship right here, if it were to experience these waves, didn't have any weight on board or experience in this perspective. It would topple right over. The waves would just crash it because it would be too topsy-turvy. And you, though, really struggled, but also it forged you into a diamond. The struggle between balancing what you desired to do, listening to your heart, and what your mind was warped into thinking as a productive being in life at that time of your life. Ended up, though, into this period of just sublime abundance. And sublime is a little bit too extreme, I guess. Just compared to your early aspect of life, though, it would have felt very sublime. Ended up with a very strong sense of community. Okay, and family, I'm hearing sisterhood again, so maybe you guys did a little bit become nuns in order to work for the church or rise in rank and stature. But I'm also hearing teachers. You guys were teachers in a past life, brought your radical ideas, though they were not radical to you, is coming through. It's so funny. Your soul right here. It's very strong. There's a real strength of character to your soul. And you brought honey and sweetness to life. That was the hummingbird that showed up for you guys out my window a couple minutes ago. This cup of cheer going on, raising your glass. You see this kind of concepts of a cornucopia out on the ground too. Lots of fruit and vegetables going on in this card as well. So abundance towards the end of life, family towards the end of life, stability towards the end of life. Right here, the struggle between, the body and all the waves going on. It feels very topsy-turvy, very, very unstable. Here's stability towards the end of your life. I feel like your life impacted the people in your community the most. I think that you went through a period where you were rather alone, and you just felt so different. So that is a true wanderer to me. You guys are wanderers. At least someone in here is a wanderer as well. And so you affected, most importantly, the people that were immediately around you. So if you were in a monastery, a nunnery, just something along the lines of church in the beginning before you guys moved towards school, something to do with schooling and school teachers as well. Okay, and some of you even rose in rank to be like members of student council or the school board, sorry, is what I meant to say. Excelled in that environment and brought a lot of new innovative ways of learning and teaching. That was your gift to society, just your innovation. And it was like the freedom and the liberty of your soul. Liberty, that's such a strong word that's coming through. I'm hearing it as a name, interestingly. Liberty, so cool. Yeah, it feels like a name. But that also, it's describing the quality that I'm picking up on your soul too. Okay, so what else do I want to look at? It feels very cohesive. What I want to do, I'm going to do 2 final lenses, okay? I want to know the influence on your present life, and we're going to use tiny messages for that, but I also want to know how you died. And if you don't want to know how you died, we can skip that. Rather, you can skip that. You can just skip ahead, okay? Pile 1 died in a gruesome way. Pile 2 died in a very peaceful way. And I don't know how you guys died. So let's figure that out. And then we're going to look at, how this lifetime here affects you in the present day. So stick around for that. Okay, so this is for pile 3. I kind of just, want to know how they departed Earth. Okay. Island in solitude. Wow. And then look at that. The most beautiful, gorgeous tree out there. It's purple. I hope that you can pick that up on camera. Purple, the violet curtain, you guys, all the way through life, were able to carry with you the understanding of your spirituality. Under the deck, we have love and compassion, which is you. You went through a really kind of, honestly, a tumultuous, rough life for at least the first half of your life, always butting heads with people, but it was because you were meant to really help them move past their limitations at that time. So I'm hearing that you lived to be very old, kind of very old for that time especially. I'm hearing you outlived your friends. I'm hearing that you just simply died of old age. And this concept of solitude, though, I'm picking up more on the light coming through in the purple tree. So towards the end of your life, you still held on to your wits and your spirituality and your mind. Your mind was very strong. And this is not loneliness, is how I mean to say, because you were still connected to source, divinity, whatever you believe in. And so while you were on your own towards the end of your life, I think that you died very peacefully. It was a very peaceful, tranquil, quiet ending, kind of departing from this world. And I'm hearing, that spring fable, in like a lion, out like a lamb. That's you guys. That's so beautiful. In like a lion, with all that struggle and early in life, out like a lamb. Okay, so beautiful. Now let's take some tiny messages. And, where can I'm just going to move these cards kind of over there. Let's get 3 of them. I kind of want to know. Beauty. Aw. Available. Favorite. One more. Status quo. Okay. Oh, one of these popped way over here. And do you look where it landed? That's amazing. Shaman. I didn't even know this one was in here. Shaman landed right over top, Justice, and this staff right here, which always makes me think of the Hermit, Shaman. You guys, in this lifetime, benefit from your spiritual understanding and benefit from your relation to spirit. That was the first message we got. You're very linked. You're very connected to Source, your spirit teams, but also I'm hearing specifically angels. So if you guys don't already, you might consider calling upon angels. Okay? Now, beauty. I think that you had, you know how, again, Anne of Green Gables, her red hair was something early in life that she was kind of, it was not the status quo. Represented someone who was Irish. And she moved from Scotland and grew up in, I don't know, some English place that, did not favor red hair. But throughout her life, it grew into be like a very notable feature of hers. I think that you guys have something distinguishing about you in this lifetime about your beauty. I think it's something that towards early on in life, you didn't favor it because it wasn't, everyone didn't have it, right? It kind of sets you apart from everyone else. And I'm not getting anything from available, so I'm just going to take it off camera. Sorry. But this quality about you, this physical trait, it's something that you developed or grew into, right? Now I'm seeing Angelina Jolie. She was born, her younger years, she had a very, for lack of a better term, I just don't want to stop the channel, a pudgy face, but her cheekbones and structures developed throughout age. It's kind of like that concept as well. Something, that seems to be what I'm getting. It's more important, what I'm hearing is this concept over here with shaman and your spirituality is the true trait that you held on to in this lifetime. Guys, I really enjoyed your reading. That was so fun. I hope that you did too, if you did, or if you've made it this far into the video. You can give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world. And until next time, stay divine. Hey, Pile 4, welcome to your reading. I hope you guys are doing so well today. Excited for your past life reading. We're going to take a look at a bunch of different lenses like we usually do. The first one is gender/identity, and I had a little spiel for piles 1, 2, and 3. Try not to get lost on the concept of gender here. I am not trying to explain every reading the difference between masculine and feminine, and that is just, as an Aquarius, it's time for us as a society to move beyond such a limiting concept about, I have to use the right pronouns, I have to yada 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 yada. That I already want to move by. I want to move past it, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is just an entertaining video, so try not to get lost on that too much. Okay. Now, let's begin. That little blurb needed to come out in every single pile. Whoa, cool. All right, so you guys were a king in a past life. I love to see this. Every reading has been very, very different. So the past life of yours that I seem to be picking up on, Rupert and Ronald just came to mind very clearly and strongly. A strong R name just came to mind. Anyways, you guys were a king in your past life, okay? And I like to see that. That's cool. So you guys were rulers, definitely in charge of a lot. Definitely in power, okay? A lot of messages coming through about your reign, right? Some of you were not very well liked. And I'm hearing that, interestingly, it's actually because you were quite diplomatic and did not subscribe to past views of older monarchs or the times or how things were done then. This is the only pile where like an actual suit came out where I could be like, oh yeah, this is who you guys were. And so that's so cool. we'll be able to get into your reading very in depth. So a king of some sort. Now, I want to know where. Okay, I'm going to use these tarot cards throughout your reading. I want to know where, and I want to know a little bit about your family. So where? Interesting. Not really getting... I heard Badlands, but that's not really relevant. Okay. So location's not super important. Interestingly, I actually just heard that you came into power because you were what is this, a bastard? Yeah, a bastard child, but technically had royal blood in you. And I'm literally seeing, like, his royal majesty or, his followers coming on their horses to the countryside, which is where you were residing with your mother. I'm hearing that the king at the time had placed you there, kind of out of... If you weren't a bastard, it was out of the sight of public for some reason, right? Yeah, because I feel like your father also wasn't very well liked, but because he was very diplomatic, he didn't feed into nepotism or feed into bribing guards or rulers or lords and anything like that. Really, truly did care about being a just ruler. And you were sort of whisked away and hidden a little bit in the countryside and learned how to make your living as someone who doesn't come from wealth. Curious message. Okay, so someone who grew up on a farm, someone who grew up knowing the ins and out of agriculture and growing grapes or crops in general, and learning about patience, and kind of that's why, you learned how to be a people's person. So a ruler for the people, that's why that message of diplomatic and diplomacy came through. So interesting. Okay. What else are we seeing here? Yeah, I'm picking up on you getting whisked away, and then suddenly something's going on with the king such that you need to be returned to the castle. And so I'm hearing, as far as family goes, it was just you and your mother living on a small little farm, but learning, how to milk goats, how to shear sheep and mend clothes, and very practical things, but also just in general, like what it means to be a person. Okay? Kind of want to keep throwing a lens on this. What it means to be a person alive at that time. And this was something that gave you a wealth of experience to draw upon later in life when you became a ruler, a monarch, a king. Adaptability, yeah, absolutely. This is you. So I'm hearing you spent up until age 3 in the castle, and that's when things started to really change in the empire that your father at the time was ruling. And you were whisked away, hidden away, learned how to be a person, and this was very important. It was done for safety, but your mother had an opinion about this as well. And I'm seeing that something happened between your parents. There was absolutely genuine love, but it's almost like she had to be protected for some reason. It is a cloudy day, you guys. Sorry that the light is a little bit failing us, but no bother. Love a gloomy day. As many gloomy days as I can get out here in Southern California. It was really important, and this was interesting. Kind of bizarre for the times, but your mother was very insistent that you grow up and lead life as normally as possible. Okay, and to learn what it is to be human. And that's actually a little bit your saving grace, because the foundation that your father laid about being more diplomatic and just actually eased the way for you to do the same kind of work and to rule in the same way. It sort of gave you 2 lives in which to draw upon, and it made you, I'm hearing, very, very intelligent. It made you a remarkable ruler because you actually were able to draw upon two different life paths. So interesting. The Strength card with the lion, I picture this figure right here, this King of Wands. He's got a lion on his chest, lions on his throne. We've got the lion coming through here. Something to do with nobility for sure. And it's like the mother, though, she was in charge of gentling you and this king, but from a distance, right? There's something about you guys, feels a little bit Romeo and Juliet in nature, between you and your father. I could also simply be talking about you and your choice of partner in this lifetime, because that would make sense to me. I think that families follow similar karmic patterns. And this quiet, wise woman is an important seat, I am hearing, actually, in your council. But also, she played a crucial role in gentling you. I'm hearing you took after your father, very hot-blooded, very fiery in spirit, a little bit of a rebel child, and willing to take risks, and risk life and limb is actually what I'm hearing. But you were the only son to be had, and so you were supposed to be kept away as a form of protection. And that's very cool. All right, so you know what I want to look at? I want to look at kind of the major challenges and obstacles. Let's keep this out there. Okay. We're going to look at who your life impacted, how you died, and the influence of this life that I'm picking up on your present life. Okay, so I want to know first, though, what was the most critical situation for pile 4 in their lifetime? What was their biggest challenge and obstacle? Energy, communication. I'm seeing all these wands, all this passion. I like to see the wand, element of the wand coming through again. And this castle, this house, this abode, so far in the distance, something coming through about your father and a divide. And he kind of looked at you, though you were a child born of love, there was just, depending on where you lived, I'm not really getting a strong pull about that. Depending on where you lived, there's something about Romeo and Juliet again, your father and mother shared different religions, something along these lines, and such that it wasn't favorable. And as a result, you had to be kept away. But that distance really caused you to grow up without a father and to not have that role model in your life. And it wasn't a negative thing. It was actually done to protect you, except it did really cause quite a divide between you and he, and what it meant to be a young man at this time. I'm also picking up on this just distance from people, is coming through. A challenge between your willpower as well, sensing being in two worlds, sensing your kind of birthright to be royal and to experience that life, but also understanding how the average person lived and how hard it was to make a living at that time and to be a person at that time. You had this inner struggle between wanting to be close to your father, but also something to do with being a people's person. Ooh, this came up again. Okay, this concept of growing things for yourself, building things for yourself, making a name for yourself. And let's just have one other. Yeah, look at that. This figure remarkably looks just like this one. And I'm seeing this as young you and this as your father. Do you see how he has quite literally crossed this body of water, which I see right here? Ushering you and she into the distance. This Six of Swords is a card of reprieve, but also emotional distancing, but also healing as well. Something to do with plumbing the depths of your subconscious as well, moving you, right? Look at this turgid water right here, and now placid over here. So moving you from a place of chaos into a place of calmness, and almost like exiling you though, right? That's why that word bastard came through at first, bastard child. More, though, it's actually this concept of just distancing you to keep you away from harm, to keep you out of harm's reach. So curious. And so I think that as a result, though, you became emotionally distant, right? There are no cups here. We have wands, pentacles, and swords, but there are no cups. And so emotion was very difficult for you as a result of, honestly, genuinely, your father trying to keep you at a distance. Eventually, you inherited the throne. Much later in life is what comes through, though, and you're much older. Oh yeah, almost to the point where you were already ingrained in the life of not so much a pauper. You guys were never in super poverty, but I think it was a little bit of a culture shock to move from living off the land to having everything at your fingertips. At first, there was a little bit of a balancing of energy that had to happen. So cool, so synchronistic. Every single one of these piles, it must be because it's October, have been eerily synchronistic. Very creepy, but also very cool. I also am interested in this digression. We have 876, right? So that's that concept of starting from a place of high, moving into a place of low in status. But then there is an idea of ascension too, right? This is Jacob's ladder. So you eventually do climb the ladder back up to success. Cool. So let's figure out what kind of people or how you influenced people. Let's reach for this deck. Okay. So I want to know, like, what was your response basically to living like that? Aquarius, oh my god, the radical and pow. Yeah, and I'm seeing an arrow pulled back. Honestly, it was a catalyst. It shot you forward into the success that you celebrated as a ruler, as a monarch. But also, Aquarius, I was literally talking about a people's person, a person for the people, a humanitarian. That's so funny and so synchronistic. And, it gave you a very unique outlook on life to come from such a high place of nobility to live into this quieter side in the countryside, for safety's sake. But it also gave you an edge that no one else had at that time. No one else had that dual life, that dual purpose, but also, it just provided you the most incredible perspectives and lenses. And so you were very discerning as a king. You were really able to see through every single person's motives, people high in status, people low in status, and find common ground between all of them. Oh yeah, because you're definitely here to bring some level of harmony and peace into the world. That's why you sort of had to go and be detached from things for a time. Definitely very curious about being group-oriented and bringing the collective together, bringing more peace together. So your life impacted society, all of society, where pile 3 was kind of the people that they interact with at their jobs or their close-knit groups. You and your decisions, the rulings that you did, the contracts that you laid, the plans that were made, your empire at large, it affected society. That's who you were, pile 4. Someone who is actually supposed to be a leader for the people. And there are no accidents, right? It's so crazy how we were talking about, no, actually you were, a bastard child and actually had to be removed from the throne, and then you ended up literally being represented by this card, Aquarius. It's so cool. I don't understand people who don't believe in tarot because, what? It's so synchronistic. Very cool. Very cool. Now, what do I want to look at? I kind of just want to look at, because I feel like this was basically you. We're going to look at how you died, and then we're going to use some tiny messages to pull out what influence this lifetime has on your present lifetime. Now, if you don't want to know how you died, that's totally fine. Just skip ahead. I will say they've been very different. Pile 1 was gruesome. Pile 2 was not. Pile 3 was not. So we'll figure out you. Something very noble and just about you guys. So this is for pile 4, please. Clouds with shape-shifting. Wow. That's so interesting. The first thing I heard was you retreating into the shadows, but what I'm picking up on is like, I just saw you escape behind a tapestry into your castle. I don't know what this is. It feels a little bit too, I don't want to go in depth into this reading. It's just not what this reading's about, but it's literally like you left the throne into the shadows and completely disintegrated and assimilated into society, and were no longer anywhere to be found. And as a result, pow, it caused mass sort of destruction of the empire or the monarchy itself, and really forced people, because you hadn't had a child yet, forced people to change. Whoa, that's a really powerful message. That's so interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing you had every tool at your disposal based on your upbringing to be able to make a life on your own outside of, the castle, society, everything being provided for you. You already had all the skills that you gained. That was because of your mother. Your mother definitely had foresight. She could look into the future. And I think that she did this because she either had a seer of her own or she was a seer herself. She definitely had mystic qualities about her. And so she knew that you would need to be able to provide for yourself. I think that there was someone who came into being who tried to call you an illegitimate son. And as a result, poof, you disappeared. Your story, your legacy, it's blocked from me a little bit because I'm only touching on, this concept of when you were a king. Once you left that castle, once you got into that secret hideout, you just went into society. You weren't really recognizable as a king, or were just completely able to hide yourself and to disguise yourself. And you just went off and you led your life. And that's all that we're really being shown about your death. And that's very cool because, once again, every pile has been totally different. Let's move this here. Now we're going to draw some tiny messages. Okay, so for pile, there we go. 4, what was this? An O. Something about cycles, right? But also the pow. Right? You were here to transform things. The end of cycles, the O is like a big old circle, right? New path, yup, that makes sense. The uncommon, LOL, yup. And window into the future, cool. So what you were able to hold on to from this lifetime that we just described is your innovative ability. You know how I started this reading saying I'm sick and tired of the entire dialogue today about being sex and sexuality and gender and identity. It's holding us back. Everyone, I'm not even going to go down that road. God, I could just go off and probably unnecessarily offend people, though. Honestly, that would trigger them and honestly inspire healing in them. So maybe I should. But another time, another place. Anyways, you're here to create and little pools of chaos is what I'm seeing, because that's how order can be established again. Sometimes you really just have to mix things up, right? So when I'm enchanting my coffee in the morning, I don't just stir it clockwise and imbue it with a good vibration. I actually introduce chaos first, okay, into the coffee, and then I bring it into order. You sometimes just have to shake things up in order to really imbue it magically, or in this sense, kind of bring the radical change that is necessary. You're here to, embark on a new path, the uncommon. You're here to study the occult as well. I think that you inherited some ability to see from, and I mean psychically see, from your mother's line. It's very interesting. A window into the future, a window into other lifetimes as well. So you were here, honestly, with the energy of Aquarius still. With shape-shifting, I would not be surprised if in a future from now, you are able to completely shape-shift. That's going to require a heck of a lot of work, finding the right people, the right books, the right mentors, but you're here to change society at large again, right? That's something that you Your influence was actually on people, on society, and that's what you're here in this lifetime to do as well. It's something that comes very naturally to you. It's not because, you had it rough and you just need to, be the people's person. It's just simply because you actually got to experience firsthand the highs in life and the lows in life, and that gives you the most remarkable perspective. It makes a healer out of you, and it makes an incredible leader. The King of Wands is the best leader in the deck. You can see him with his face to the side delegating, because that is a person, look at the sunlight coming out to reaffirm that. Someone who delegates is able to conserve their own energy such that they remain in a position where they can decide effectively the right course of action or what needs to be done instead of exhausting themselves by trying to do everything. It's a mark of a very good leader. Such a cool reading, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. It really helps my channel, and it helps other people find these messages too. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are in the world. And until next time, stay divine.